It's a it's a shade before 1 in the morning here on the 1st of February 2008, and we're talking tonight about a couple of the Democratic candidates. In a counterpart video, I spoke at length about Barack Obama and the audacity of the falseness of hope that he represents. And now I'm going to, spend a little time speaking about Hillary Clinton. And I want to start off by saying I think a lot of Hillary Clinton's record speaks for herself, in that, we can expect a continuation and promulgation of the Clinton policies that her husband put forth during the 1990s, which included, flagrant violations of international law, and essentially the biggest attack on American workers probably, since the days of Ronald Reagan, in the form of NAFTA, and the biggest cuts to social welfare programs, and really in history. But we'll focus, primarily, on Hillary's campaign. And one of the things I want to talk about is the variety of characters that Hillary has chosen to associate herself with in regards to representing her. For instance, Mark Penn has a primary role in her campaign, and I can't recall the exact role off the top of my head, but I want to say it's a chief advisor, one of the primary image makers. And that's what he does for a living, because he's the CEO of Burson Marsteller, which is a highly regarded PR firm. It happens to be the same PR firm that represented the Argentine junta in the 1980s. And it was engaged in such intensive union busting that it thought it was proper to brag about it on its website, which was taken down because obviously that's not very beneficial to Hillary Clinton's campaign to be associated with such a thing. But this is who she's chosen to be one of her primary image makers. Norman Sue raised $850,000 for Hillary, and he's in jail now for fraud. I'm not really exact. That doesn't necessarily mean that he engaged in illegal activity to get the $850,000, but it certainly would make you wonder why one would take it. I'll talk a little bit more about Hillary's money later. She also accepted $26,000 from the Tan family, TAN, notorious international sweatshop owners. And also Info USA has been a primary campaign financier, and their CEO, Vin Gupta, used to have the Clintons fly around on a private corporate jet for business purposes, personal purposes, what have you. Happened to give Bill Clinton a $3.3 million consulting contract. So that's very, very harmful to me in the fact that that's a sizable amount of money. It's a sizable amount of contribution that I feel will lead to a sizable amount of kickbacks for all parties involved. In regards to her money, let's keep in mind that Hillary's often talked about, just like Barack Obama, in the mainstream left, and again, viciously within the confines of the mainstream fringe right-wing media, like I said, the O'Reillys, the Hannitys, the Rush Limbaughs, etc., the Dennis Millers. It's not a very good show, but you can listen to it if you want. She also accepts a lot of money for someone who's painted as a notorious radical leftist from financial institutions that you would not believe would support radical ultra-leftists who are seeking to nationalize healthcare and other things she's been accused of. The number one contributor to her campaign is DLA Piper, and I didn't get a chance to research that, but we can assume that this isn't some trust fund set up by the wrestler Rowdy Roddy Piper. We can safely assume that this is something put forth by a lot of prominent businessmen. But now listen to the next three. The next three names you should recognize: Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Citigroup Incorporated. The next, three of the top four contributors to Hillary's campaign. What kind of mega leftist would not only, get supported by such financial institutions, but what kind of mega leftist would seek out their support and then accept it? Like, you know what? Let me tell you, when it comes to socialism, the first thing I think about is Citigroup. Citigroup cannot do more for socialism across the board in my mind. That's ludicrous. And the more that we allow the mainstream media to promulgate these lies, the less ability we have to actually, have a legitimate discourse about what is left and what is right and what do we really want and what do we not want. Because when someone like Hillary Clinton can get put forth as a mega leftist, it doesn't mean anything to be left, because these are the same people who are hedging their bets, supporting people on the so-called right with McCain, and they're the people who are supporting the current administration because they seek financial policies that would only enrich them. Who are they? Well, they're the ultra elite. This is Citigroup. This is Morgan Stanley, J.P. Morgan Chase & Company, a top 10 contributor. So I want you to keep that in mind. And keep in mind that Rupert Murdoch contributed money to Hillary Clinton's campaign, the only Democrat that Rupert Murdoch saw fit to give money to. I want you to keep all those things in mind every time you're watching CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, CNBC, or you're, at the water cooler and somebody remarks about, oh, that pinko Hillary, or what have you. That is just a blatant falsehood that does nothing at all to further the discourse and to enact change like Hillary says she wants to enact. Keep in mind, too, when it comes to the Iraq War, of course, Hillary supported it the whole time, has refused to apologize for her vote, has finally came out with, a quasi-timetable for withdrawing the troops, but what she and her almost virtual identical ideological counterpart, Barack Obama, don't say is that even though they both say they're going to withdraw a primary number of the troops, they're going to leave behind a certain contingent of special forces, a certain number of forces embedded within the Iraqi army, a certain number of forces there to protect the Green Zone, and a certain number of combatants there to protect those troops. So nobody has a plan that's going to leave fewer than 50 to 100,000 troops in Iraq. That's not a plan for withdrawal. That's a plan for a continual engagement, not a withdrawal. So I want everybody to keep that in mind the next time these people are painted as soft or some kind of leftist. That's not the discourse of the left. That's not what the left puts forth. Thank you very much.